Alright, so this is Decent We the People News. Alrighty. This video is without prejudice and or without recourse. Okay? I'm not an attorney. I'm not going to give legal advice. I may give my opinion. However, I'm not going to give legal advice. Why? Because I'm not an attorney. Alrighty. I never look straight forward. I always look around me to be able to protect myself by any means necessary, people. What does that mean? We got to ask questions. And quit consenting and volunteering our information just because someone says so. Alright? Judge says to sign this piece of paper and it does not benefit you. Why in the hell would you sign that piece of paper? That would be just plain out. You know what I mean.
We have the last vestiges of that, what's known as common law. And if you ask a lawyer what law is, he'll probably say, well, law is law. But law is basically rules, maxims, bars that have remained uncontested over time. All right, that's the important bit. They've been uncontested over time. So what we have now, let's go through some of these words and I'll translate them into English. And then you can see how profound their meaning really is. If we take the first one, the first word is registration. We're told to register so many times. We buy a piece of software, it's not going to work until we register it. Our cars registered, our children are registered, all kinds of things we're registered. This word, we're letting somebody know that we exist or something when we register to vote. What does it mean in legal terms? It's very specific meaning. When you register something, you are giving away whatever you are registering to whoever you're registering it with.
Yeah, let that sink in for a minute, y'all. You're giving away your offspring to the schools. You give them away. They have authority over your offsprings. Just saying.
That sink in because it's really profound. Register means you are giving away whatever you are registering to whoever you're registering it with. So you buy a piece of software, it doesn't work until you register it. So you register it, which means you're giving it away. And they're saying, okay, well, you can have it back with a magic secret code, but only under our terms and conditions of use. What we'll do is we'll grant you a license. And if you're in breach of that license, then there's consequences for that. It sounds bizarre, isn't it? You buy something, you think, well, that's mine. I'll buy that. It's mine, it's fine. No, in order to read it, you've got to give it back. But I've already paid for it. And when you read it, there are terms and conditions applied to how you read it and maybe what information you divulge from what you've read. So you can see it's a way of tying you up. But let's go on a bit further. Let's look at this word application. It's one of those things we do a lot. To get a job. Application. 17th century translation to that. As it is today, application means you are a beggar. And it's presumed you know what you're giving up in order to get what you're begging for.
You got to love that word, y'all, because we use it so often. And they keep giving these applications to you. Right? Because it's sent from the governed. Volunteering. Tacit agreement. Y'all. Just saying. I'm kind of lost on here. Here we go.
Submit. It's not like, oh, I'll submit this to you. Submit means you bend to another's will. So if you submit an application to register, what you've done in terms of legal is you've given up all your rights voluntarily. Because remember, there's laws against slavery, but there isn't any law against voluntary slavery.
I mean, sit and think about that, y'all. Sit and think about that. You hear people, oh, we're the cash cow, we're this, and this, or crooked government, crooked this, crooked that. Yeah, trickery of words, right? But we're the ones not looking up the words. We're the ones using MUs, misunderstood words.
We've been deceived, and it is a deception. It's an immaculate deception, really, when you start getting to the bottom of it. But let's go to the next bottom line here. What else do you register? Well, you register your birth, don't you? Your birth is registered, and you get a certificate. And if you look at that certificate, and it's an incredible document, really, when you start reading it with legal eyes, you just think, oh, it's got the mother's name in it. It hasn't got the mother's name. It says informant. And on the back of it, remember, it's got the Crown Corporation logo on it. By the way, the Crown is a corporation, it's not the Queen. On the back of it, it says, this is not proof of identity. Well, you think how many documents are derived from that birth certificate? Your driving license, your passport, your NHS thing, all of it comes from it. So if it's not proof of identification, what does it mean legally? So you're kind of left with this conundrum. I've registered my birth. I've got this bond back. Bond. Bond is an abbreviated word. Where do you think the word bond comes?
Sit and think about that for a minute, y'all. When we end up getting a Real ID Act, right, we had to show our birth certificate again. Now, I showed it when I was a puppy, but when they enacted this Real ID Act, did we or did we not have to show a birth certificate, which is not a form of ID? So why did we need to show our birth certificate?
It's really obvious. It comes from bondage. You've been registered. When you register something, you give something away. You've been given into bondage to the Crown Corporation. This is legally what it means. If you're given into bondage to the Crown Corporation, and we can prove it because there's a certificate that says that's the case, what does that mean? What's the bottom line here? Well, I'll go back to a little bit of history now. I haven't got anything behind me, but those...
Alright, so this video I'm going to stop here. But sit and think about this, y'all. Alright, United States, 28 U.S.C. 3002, Section 15A. United States is a corporation. Alright, State of Texas. The town of whatever. The county of whatever. Okay? I'm of my dad, but I am not my dad. The city is of Texas, but it's not Texas. The state of Texas, but it's not a state. If it's not a state, and it's only an of, then what are we left with? Food for thought. Alright, this is We the People News. Bye, y'all.